All right, my last guest tonight. My first guest in the second hour tonight shows up semi-frequently. He makes some of the best rubs in the biz, both for the competition circuit and backyard cooks, sells sauces and cookers as well. Oh, by the way, happens to be one of the most consistent pitmasters on the circuit over the last handful of years. Let's go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome back good friend of the show, Sterling Ball.
Yeah.
Sterling, how are you, buddy? Hey, it's Greg Rempe, Barbecue Central Show. Remember, we had an interview, Greg Rempe, Barbecue Central Show. Last weekend, this past weekend, Smithfield Guinea Pig, 2019. Yeah. What year are we in now with guinea pig competitions? When they start? Is it 5-6 years now?
6 years.
Holy moly!
Yeah, and it's really gotten great. I mean, we moved it to my main company's headquarters, the Ernie Ball property, and I was worried that maybe people wouldn't like it in an industrial area, and I think everyone pretty much unanimously says it's significantly better. And you know, when we did the guinea pig, it was a level playing field as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cost-controlled contest. It was one where hopefully the kids would be involved and dessert would be involved. And I'm really happy this year. We had, once again, 65% of the field cashed a check. We had like one of the great potlucks too. You know, James the Flame Perez, my partner, makes great tacos. We had Smithfield pulled pork tacos with a complete salsa bar. Then, of course, we had Dodger dogs and a bunch of chili that everybody did. So I only had 4 chili dogs.
Oh, you were showing restraint in 2019. Is that a resolution?
Well, no, it was my cheat nights and my diet. And boy, I didn't take any prisoners. Well, we had a great contest, and you know, Jeff Staney at Slaughterhouse 5 won. You know, and that is awesome because, you know, I think people think since we're competitors, because he has the Kansas City barbecue store, that it would be weird, like we're really good friends. And it gave me a chance on the microphone to say about 4 or 5 times that I was offering free freight this weekend, and he wasn't.
Yeah,
but he got a bunch of my money.
Yeah, he sure did. I mean, you know, for the folks that don't know, Jeff Staney, Barbecue Hall of Famer, was it last year he got put in, or year before that, I think? And
year before.
I mean, I don't know if maybe saying one of the all-time teams is a little overreaching, but certainly, you know, in the history of competition barbecue, very accomplished, won a lot of contests, and then did the restaurant thing, and recently over the last couple of years has kind of gotten back into competition a little bit.
Well, he did a couple of years. He lives in the desert here in the winter, and you know, I kind of showed him our thing, our program, and he went out and won a couple times, and then kind of lost interest last year. But I think this year it might have helped him a little bit. I mean, I think winning this might motivate him.
Do you think he would do 20 competitions this year, or would it be less than that?
No. If he does 5, I'll be amazed.
So he's not that.
And by the way, each year I went money from him because he always says he's going to cook more than he does, and I always pick a low number, and you know, I make $100 a year off of Staney.
Does he? I mean, he's pretty headlong into the restaurant though in Kansas City when he's there, though.
Yeah, but he's also, well, you know, enough about him.
Right. Who cares about the GC? Let's talk about the event itself. I mean, how did it come off?
How about the RGC with Ridge Rob boys, our good friend Curtis? Listen, what it is, it's amazing. You know how hard I had to fight for this event.
Yeah.
Okay, to get sanctioned, to get bungs, to get draws, and to me, you look back on it and it's so silly. I mean, and I'll tell you one thing that was really cool. We had 2 first-time cooks at it this year, and so in the cooks meeting, just for the hell of it, I said, how many of your first contest was the guinea pig? And 12 out of 50 raised their hand.
Really?
And these are people that are active on the circuit. You know, Dad's chilling and grilling, a whole bunch of people, Papa LaRue. And I didn't realize that, Blue Eyed Barbecue. And to me, that was really rewarding to hear that this was a format that they felt willing to dive in on. And we sold it out in 2.5 hours. It never made even a Facebook post. So there's a lot of demand for it. And I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to do another one, okay?
You don't want to do another one for next year?
Oh, yes, we're going to do that because also I really have to point out that one of the things that keeps it going is our great sponsor, Smithfield, okay? I think Emily and Deidre and everybody over at Smithfield, I mean, you shouldn't expect a company to want to support a contest where you say, oh, by the way, there's no public. You know, it's not a public facing event. You're just going to underwrite the thing or partially underwrite the thing for a bunch of barbecuers. And they see the benefit of it. It was instrumental in their push into barbecue. But that was one. And then the other reason why I'll have it as long as I can is it's a chance for me to honor my dear, dear friend, Matt Dalton, who's no longer with us.
Yep.
And so it's the Matty. And there was a pretty serious toast, jet coatings by some awful nice bourbon, because, you know, that's what Matty likes. And Steph gives the toast one year, I give the toast this year. But it was nice to remember Matt. And it's nice to see California barbecue get along so well. And we had Lucky Q come out this year, and Shiggin and Grindon. We had a team from Australia come. And Shiggin and Grindon and Lucky said, okay, make sure I'm on the list next year. So I think they really enjoyed it. I think it was a lot of fun.
Putting it, so, you know, remember 6 years ago, it was the guinea pig is incorrectly billed maybe at that point as trying to get new teams to come in. As you had just mentioned, you know, there were 12 teams. That was the first contest that they had ever cooked. But it was kind of coming off as, hey, let's try and get new blood into competition barbecue. But, I mean, quickly people realized, hey, this is an event that veterans can get in. We like the concept. We like the idea. And then we had talked about over the years, is this something where you're going to see 25 or 35 versions of a guinea pig happen during the course of the year? It's never evolved into that, really. Is that just because lack of effort from other people?
No, it's too hard. And you also need some of the connections that we have, because, you know, and every year you'll have one or two guys complain about his box, but most people have kind of gotten over that.
Yeah.
And some people say, oh, I like to hand pick my meat, and then I point out that they get their ribs in the mail and their brisket in the mail. But you know, I don't want to say that barbecuers aren't self-aware or anything, but can you imagine putting together 50 boxes for barbecuers that balance to like quarter pound? And, you know, we do Foster Farms chicken, which is a generic chicken out here. They get nine thighs, and they get 3 racks of Smithfield ribs, 2 racks of Smithfield prime butts. And this year we went with the Australian Master Kobe A9 from the Pensacola Butcher Shop, and they were fantastic.
So I'm not keenly aware of where the differences lie in these higher grades, but like, what, in your opinion, what separates the A9s from whatever else is out there?
Well, I like how they cook. I also like that you're not paying for a whole lot of waste. There's a lot less fat in between the flat and the brisket and the point, and I like the points better. But I also think that the flats are thicker, which I really like. I think they're just really good briskets. Listen, all the premium briskets are good. I just happen to really like A9. I'm cooking A9, so I brought them to the contest.
I would assume that if you're doing it, there's probably a decent handful of teams that are also using. I mean, are there teams cooking?
Oh yeah, way before me, and it started in Florida pretty much, and then it's spread. But you know, I can't tell you who uses what because that wouldn't be appropriate.
Well, no, but I'm not asking for that, but I mean, like, would you personally use take a brisket A and a brisket B, or do you have to be consistent in your briskets?
I like to cook the same thing. I like to cook the same weight. I weigh everything. I weigh my spices. I weigh everything weighs exactly the same each contest. You know, and The cookers are calibrated. I mean, the one thing I've learned after being in barbecue for this our 10th year is that everything's important. Absolutely everything. And you're still dealing in a random deal. You know, it's still subjective, and it's still, you know, tough. But like I've said many times before, I think on a big picture level, the judging's fine. I hate the the seating program, though. I hope that goes away soon. I don't think that helped barbecue.
I mean, I guess we'll see how that works out here over the next handful of months as the new board gets operated and situated, if you will. From a competition standpoint, Sterling, what is your 2019 currently shaping up to be? You still going to be in that 15 to 20 range, or are you going to do more than that?
Oh, no, listen, no, I always try and do 25.
Yeah.
And I always try and, my goal is to try and win 25 or fewer. And last year, I was only able to get 20 cooks in. We had 11 contests canceled in the Western United States last year. And it's a little slow right now. Still, again, we haven't lost any yet, but there aren't a bunch of them. You know, it's tough. Like, I'm not cooking until the last week of March, and thank God it's a doubleheader.
Is that going to be in Colorado, or are you going to be out on the West Coast?
No, that's at the Santa Anita racetrack.
Oh, okay.
It's really, you know, if people are thinking of coming to California to cook contests, that's one of them.
Yep.
I'll tell you, there's one the 4th of July, kind of south of Big Sur, in a town called Harmony. I think that'd be a real good one. But right now I'm cooking. I got Arcadia, which is Santa Anita doubleheader, then Lodi, Elk Grove, Boulder City, Murphy, Santa Clara, the Artesia, New Mexico double, and Smoking Hops, Kanab, Utah, and the Royal so far. So that's all I have. I only have about a dozen, and I'd like to have about 13 more.
Sterling Ball joining me here on the show. BigPoppaSmokers.com is his website. What's your main cooker right now, Sterling?
Oh, it's been for 5 years. Old Hickory Ace BP.
I talk about it.
I
talk about it in the read for the Big Poppa spot, but for the folks that aren't familiar with it, I think you hear Old Hickory and you immediately stereotype into the bigger commercial kind of stuff. But this is a whole different looking cooker and a convection cooker as well.
Yes, and it's a little smaller than a CTO. Listen, in barbecue, first of all, I think that the Old Hickory pits for commercial are just outstanding. The great thing is there's not a part on it that you can't buy at a hardware supply store like Granger. They're pretty much analog machines. They're old school, but I mean, there's no circuit boards. It's old-fashioned thermostats, but they're just bulletproof.
Yep.
And there's one cooker called the CTO, which I'm sure you're familiar with. You know, if you go down, there's like classic smokers. You got the Weber kettle. You got the Smoky Mountain. You got the Drone. You got the Jambo. I think the Meadow Creek chicken cooker is one. I think the Old Hickory CTO absolutely is one, and some of the cabinet smokers. But that CTO is probably, I mean, it's one of those Hall of Fame cookers. And the BP is just a little bit smaller than that, and it doesn't have gas assist.
Sterling Ball joining me here on the show. Sterling, let me ask you about, let's switch it up here just for a second. Still in the competition side, but let's talk about competitive steak cooking. Something that you like. I mean, it's obviously very popular. SCA is obviously continuing to grow. There's other sanctioning bodies that are starting to sprout up, one based here in Columbus, Ohio, actually. But what are your thoughts on competitive steak cooking and where you see that in the next couple of years?
Well, I think it's great. But I don't want to do it.
Really?
And I haven't done it. Yeah, and listen, what you don't want to do is say anything that throws shade on something that everybody loves. But I mean, if the fire was right next to the steak and there was nothing in between it, you know, other than a normal grate, I'd probably look for it. I'd probably like that. But you know, it doesn't really interest me. Plus, I don't have time for another hobby.
Well, a lot of that is
job for them.
attached to an event you're already going to be at, though, right? It's going to be a Friday event. Not all the time, of course, but there could be some events where the Friday night's a steak cook-off, and then Saturday you got your barbecue cook.
You know what? Maybe I had to help Matt Dalton do it one time. It's a great story. We're at Del Mar. He goes, "Can I borrow your Santa Maria cooker?" I said, "Matt, no, you'll come at 11th." And he looked at me wounded. "Is that what you really think of me?" I said, "No, Matt, it's a Santa Maria. It's not going to put grow grape marks on it." I said, "You're going to come in 11th." And he was like kind of wounded. So I said, "Oh, we'll do it together." We did it. He turned it in. And guess what he finished?
First place.
11th.
Oh, as said.
Yeah, so it was a good joke, but it was true. Finished 11th. Look, I think anything that gets people together and cooking and camaraderie is great. And maybe if I did it a few times, I'd be completely hooked. I don't have anything against it. I just haven't been motivated to do one.
So you would be surprised, or not, the first, I believe it's an SCA event, is going to be taking place roughly 40 minutes from my house in a place, which I'm sure you heard of, Hartville, Ohio, home of the world's largest hardware store, and they have a huge outdoor cooking area. And they're going to be there doing a steak contest, and I said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to give it a try. But now I'm a little scared.
Why?
Because I want to go into 11th place.
Oh, come on. Greg, here's the deal. It's outdoor cooking, and there's 65 million videos. And you're a fine cook. I watch you all the time with your neighbor.
My neighbor Desmond?
Yeah, I watch you guys cooking together.
I love that guy. The best.
Who's better, you or Desmond?
How dare you? Sterling?
Get that big stuff out of here.
You know damn well Desmond's a better cook than me.
No, I think you might be.
I think I might be too, but that's all right. We won't tell him that when we see him in person. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited. I want to give it a try. I don't want to invest the money in a competition barbecue situation at this point, but I figure for a couple $100, maybe for a chance to win 1,000 if I win, that's a pretty good trade-off for the better part of a day's work.
Oh, I think that's great. I think it's really good. You know what I wish in barbecue? I wish dessert. I mean, I wish the kids' queue wouldn't be shrinking. At the Little Rock contest, there was, I think, 5 kids cooked out of 92 or 94 teams, and we had 7. The first year we had the guinea pig, we had 31.
Wow.
And my favorite thing is kids' queue. We had a 3-year-old kid cooking, and he put goggles on. I said, "What are the goggles for?" This to smoke.
Smart.
He's cooking with goggles. I said, that was pretty good. So, Greg, you like this kind? This is kind of like how we talk when we're not on the air.
Yeah,
we're probably putting all 12 people asleep.
It's conversation. How dare you think that there's at least 12 people? You know, there's half that. What's your take on the kids' queue drop then? Are the kids not interested, or are kids not showing up, or what?
I don't, I really don't know. I think in a way it's become more of the guys thing and less of the family. And I think the kid, a lot of people say the kids have a lot of activities, but they did 5 years ago too. Yeah. I just would like to see more of that. I think it's really fun, and I think it's good. And I think kids that know how to cook have got a great start on life. Cooking's important.
Sterling, outside of Big Poppa Smokers and the guitar stuff, you do a number of videos called Cooking with Big Poppa. And I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with this or if they know where to find it, but let's talk a little bit about that, where you can find it and what you're up to with those videos, because I think from a everyday Joe kind of standpoint, this is right up my alley.
Well, that's what we want to do. I got started not to compete. I got started to teach men how to cook, and women too. But really, when I bought my first smoker, I realized this is unbelievable because guys can't burn the food. So if I just teach people what the right pit temperature is and the finishing internal temp, I can kind of fix a lot of really bad barbecuers. And I did the research. I talked to wives at parties and said, "Is he any good?" She goes, "No." Well, I said, "How come you don't take the tongs? We'll kill him." So I started this to make videos. So I made probably 100 videos over the years, but I think there's 37 on this one right now. And we're going to be adding to them. And Smithfield was very nice to help me with some of them. And then some of them were, I did in conjunction with Tabasco.
Where do you find them at?
Where I find www.cookingwithbigpoppa.com.
Do you have a favorite recipe right now that you've done?
Well, I hate to tell you, but I'm cooking a lot inside because, you know, it's been like 60 degrees here in the day.
Brutal.
No, I've been doing a lot of this off season. I've been doing a lot of cast iron cooking. A lot. In fact, I just bought a vermicular cooker, this new system that I'm really excited. I always like playing around with different stuff.
Vermicular.
You know, I went through sous vide. I went through all that stuff. I like just finding different ways of cooking meat.
What's a vermicular cooker?
I think it's from Japan, and it's a very precision cast iron, like Dutch oven, but it's got an induction base, and you can very precisely control the temperature, and it also heats the sides. So it'll steam, it'll roast, and it'll cook like almost sous vide. So it's really exciting. I mean, that's the thing I'm most excited about.
Sterling,
you know, as far as cooking.
I'm sorry. What are you up to next?
What am I up to next?
Yep.
Whew, that's tough. I got a lot of guitar stuff coming up. And
give me a name. Tickle us with a feather. Tickle us with a feather. Biggest name on that list.
For me, with guitars?
Sure.
Well, I was really, currently, we had a very nice Grammy showing with St. Vincent playing guitar. I co-designed with her. We had the Super Bowl with Maroon 5. I co-designed that guitar with James Valentine. But, Ernie Ball Strings, if you read the back of the pack, let me read it to you because I forget sometimes. But here it says Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page / Jeff Beck, Guns N' Roses. You name it, there's over 100 names like that.
Wow.
So, and I deal with all those people, or if not the people in the text.
Who's the best guitar player?
Who's the best guitar player?
Yes, aside from you. But by the way, for the folks that don't know, you play a mean fat neck, but you can also play the regular guitar as well.
Yeah, we almost got nominated for a Grammy. We're 6th out of 5, which bothered me. What really bothered me, Greg, is 2 drummers beat me out. drummers aren't supposed to have bands. Okay. Now, the best guitar player is somebody you probably wouldn't know. The most precise and technically proficient is a guy named John Petrucci, in my opinion.
Of course I know.
Jeff Beck's probably one of the most amazing field player that's ever lived. There's so many of them right now. You got 8-year-old Chinese kids who can play Flight of the Bumblebee at double speed. You know, it's the internet has not only affected cooking but also music.
If you had to pick between Brad Paisley and John Mayer and Keith Urban, who's the better?
I think Brad Paisley.
Oh,
but I've worked with all of them. I actually resigned from a project with John Mayer designing a guitar for him. It wasn't working good, so I resigned. And he sent me an email, goes, like, you just quit. Well, I like to think of it as resigning. So, but he still uses our strings and uses a lot of our stuff. But designing a guitar for somebody is really, it's a relationship and it's a chemistry and it's just different. So, John Mayer's a very good guitar player. So is Keith Urban. I think Brad Paisley's probably would win that, in my opinion.
What are the chances of you chasing down Dave Grohl and getting him on the show for me?
Impossible.
What? Do you know who you are?
Yeah.
You're Sterling Ball.
Yeah. Well, he has one of our drums, and when he's not on the road, he cooks all over L.A. Yeah. I invited him to King of the Smokers, and I didn't hear back. So if I can't get him to the King of Smokers, I can't get him on your show. I'm sorry.
Wow. All right. Well, at least you're honest. I've always respected that.
You want me to lie to you?
No, I've never wanted you to lie to me. I always want you to keep it 100, as the kids say these days.
it's really, really nice seeing a guy like Dave Grohl just over the moon excited about cooking outside.
Do you buy it? Do you think do you think that's a gimmick, or you really think he likes it?
Oh, no, I think he eats, breathes, and sleeps it. And I know when he's on the road, he stops in all the right places to eat. No, he's the real deal on it. I mean, he sits out. He's cooking all night. He's not doing like we do, where we're kind of splitting, separating, and cooking hot and fast. He's like sits out with his lamb all night, you know. But I think that's really cool.
I do too.
Harry Connick is really into it too.
Yeah, he's best buddies with Meathead.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry about that. No, Meathead has taught him a lot, and so I think Mo's been on his show a bunch doing it.
I don't know that, but I just saw Meathead on it once doing his salmon dish or whatever, pork tenderloin or whatever you give him shit about.
No, sweet and sour pork.
Yeah, right, sweet and sour pork.
I'm only saying that because if he is listening, but I know Meathead never listens unless he's on. Okay, but he happens to be listening.
How dare you?
That was a little shot.
No doubt.
And by the way, I love Meathead. Okay, and Meathead and I kind of came up at the same time, and we have very lively conversations.
That's the way it should be. Look, if you're interested in any of Sterling's products, you head to the website, bigpopasmokers.com. Again, that's bigpopasmokers.com. You have all the rubs, you have the sauces, you have the cookers. If you have any questions, you give them a call. They answer all your questions. It's just a great outfit. And Sterling, I've always appreciated the years of support you've given this show, both from a support standpoint and from your time being a guest here on the show. And I wish you nothing but success, and hopefully we can chat again soon.
Am I still in your Hall of Fame?
Yes. You know you are.
I got the California one this year. That was good.
Hey, let me ask you this.
Made me really happy.
Let me ask you this. What about this other Hall of Fame? The one that I continually try to get into tongue-in-cheek wise. Is that something you want to get into? You want to get into that Hall of Fame?
Sure, I'd love to, especially since I kind of fed the idea to Rod Gray. They don't really know where it came from. Okay, so, and now I think journalists control it, and I don't know that I belong, but I'm sure if you ask anybody honestly, would they like to be in it? Yes. I do have a club with William Murray, and it's called the Palma Valley Thunderbird Owners.
I know, and you're the only two in it. We know.
Well, they don't know, but what I do is we get free lunches because we ask people if they'd like to be considered for membership.
That's part and parcel.
The thing is, they have to buy our lunch, and at the end they say, "How do I do?" I said, "No."
Nope. Good try.
One time we went out in our two Thunderbirds. We went out, and he broke down, and I threw jumper cables at him and left him on the side of the road.
What a nice guy you are.
He can get home, trust me.
Yeah, no doubt. In the meantime, it's Sterling Ball of Big Poppa Smokers. Again, the website, bigpopasmokers.com. Sterling, always appreciate the time, my friend. Thanks so much.
Greg, take the rest of the day off.
Thank you, sir. I will. The rest of the day, or as we say here on the show, the next 15 minutes or so.